The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to She Is Shenomenal. I am your host, Tasha Champion, the Shenomenal Coach of Champion and Pow Hermit. Always teaching you to love the champion you are. And I am back. I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, I had been doing a lot of traveling. Now I'm back and I'm steady. So I'm here with y'all and I'm happy to be here. Before I even, let me at least introduce my guest that's going to be on my show today, Essence Turner. You guys definitely want to join us today because she is a money archetype coach. So she's going to talk about the different money archetypes and how that relates to the relationship that you have with money, how you need to heal your relationship with money. And then also, of course, we all want more of it, but how do you use that archetype to grow and enhance your financial abundance? Now, before we get into that, I had a whole nother thing that I wanted to talk to y'all about, but the death of this young lady that was visiting Mexico, forgive me if I pronounce her name wrong, but Shankilla Robinson. I'm sure you guys have been seeing it all over social media. It is an incredibly sad story. I'm only going by what I have seen or read, because obviously none of us know all of the details of the story. But as it is right now, allegedly, it looks like she got into a fight with some friends, or actually they were fighting her, and she has now passed. And there are a lot of sketchy things in between of what they told her family, how they left her there, what they said she was and wasn't. It's all bad. At the end of the day, this is a young 25-year-old thriving young lady whose life is now gone. Now, I've seen everything on social media to this is why I don't do new friends, to this is why I keep my circle small, to how could she not know that these were the type of friends she was hanging around. Listen, we can all speculate, but at the end of the day, none of us know the details of the truth. What I will say, though, is in response to one, no new friends. Listen, if we continue to go through life with feeling like we can't have new friends, you're going to really stay in a very small space. You have to open up yourself to new friends so that you can have new experiences. A new friend might elevate your life in ways that you never thought possible. So don't close yourself off to new people. Now, the other one is like, well, how does she not know? Like, there should have been signs. Yes, but let's be real, y'all. How many of us have had signs about different things that we have ignored? A lot of us ignore things in our own relationships and try to process them differently so that we can stay in that relationship knowing we're supposed to be out of it. Sometimes we end up, even in our own friendships, we might have like a nod or something where it's like that friend, I don't know about her. And then you still kind of stay around or be friends with that person because you're not quite sure. So here's what I will say, because it's so important for us. I've seen the word discernment thrown out a lot. Um, we got to keep our kids prayed up. We got to keep our friends, our families, everybody, we have to keep under prayer. But in that prayer, we also have to be reminded that we need to trust our spirits and things that come to us. Like if I'm a big ID channel person. I watch a lot of crime shows. And one of the main things that a family member always says is she kept saying she had a bad feeling. She was saying that she thought this person was doing this. Those are those hints. Those are those moments where we need to tap in and be like, okay, well, if this is what you're thinking, then we need to get you out of this situation. So what I don't want to do, and I don't want to see people do, is blame her in any way, shape, form, or fashion, because we all make mistakes. Some of them obviously more critical than others. But let's be gentle. Remember that her family is watching everything that's going on social media, trying to get answers for themselves. And all we're doing on this end is speculating. So if you have people in your life, if you feel uncomfortable around people, like take that hint. Let's not wait for something bigger to happen. Let's hold this young lady's family in prayer, and definitely hoping that all parties involved are brought to justice. Because one thing that I tell my sons all the time is like, you got to be mindful of who you are around. These mofos out here will get you into some trouble when you technically know better. You know better. So you cannot just be around people doing foolish things. Be around people who love and support you, keep you elevated, and any inkling that that person is not right. And always keep you some friends that know how to spot these crazy folks, so they can say to you like, hey, I don't know about that person you had over to the house last night. And if this is your trusted friend, you might want to take heed and be like, you know what? Let me back up a little bit. We got to all look out for each other. That's my message for y'all. May this young lady beautifully rest in paradise into her eternal life. Prayers to the family of this young lady. So that's my message. We're going to get right on back into She Is Shenomenal. So I'm going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will chat with Miss Essence Turner. She is here to tell you guys, what is your money archetype? What does that mean? And how does it help your relationship with money? So stay right here and we'll be right back. All right, now we are back, and let's go ahead and bring in Money Archetype Coach, Miss Essence Turner. Hey, Miss Essence.
Hi, Tasha.
How are you, beautiful? How's your day? How's everything going in this crazy world we live in?
Well, it is evening time for me. Like it's 9 o'clock today. So I'll be getting in my jammies after this.
Okay.
The day has been just like a calm, peaceful day. I've been doing my own just money energy, just like having almost like a retreat day for myself today.
Oh, I love that. That sounds like something all of us need to do. But before we just really dive into the conversation of what is your money archetype, what does that mean? How does it support you? How does it help heal your relationship with money? Tell us, who is Essence Turner, and how did this particular niche become like your passion?
Oh, I love that. I was just thinking about like the old Essence Turner as you were talking about that young lady, because in my 20s, I was a hot mess and I got into fights with my friends, just wilding out. And prayers go out to her family because things can go so to the left, you know what I mean? And the night starts off good and somewhere it just goes straight to the left. And so for years, I was a wild party girl. And then I had this moment of awakening where I just felt like I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm sick and tired of dating these same men, these toxic relationships. If God, if this is going to be my life, like I don't want to be here anymore. And like that's the place that I just got to. And then I started my spiritual path. And one of the things I realized is that my relationships with men were like a reflection of my relationship with myself. So I went on a deep healing journey. Also, some father wound stuff was in there. So I just went on this journey of healing myself, learning to love myself, learning to forgive my dad. I became a radical forgiveness coach, and I've just spent the last probably since about 2016, 2017, working as a radical forgiveness coach, helping other people heal their trauma and abandonment, sexual abuse, you name it. So I've been on this journey of helping women heal their trauma. And it got to a point a couple years ago where it felt like spirit was trying to tell me something, like there was a shift needing to happen in my business. I just couldn't hear. And so I reached out to a psychic, and she was like, you're supposed to be using your gifts with healing to help people heal money blocks. You can help people transmute money blocks. And she's like, you're supposed to sign up for this course. It's going to be kind of pricey, but you're meant to do it. And so then I looked up the course, and my ego was like, you need to sign another client before you get this course. And I was like, you know what? No, me first. Like, I'm going to trust. And so I purchased the course, and girl, the very next day, I got a $4,000 client, pay in full. She just DM'd me and asked me for the link. So like that was a real sign to me, like, okay, you're on the right path. But then I let another coach tell me, like, no, you should stick to helping people heal trauma. Like, that's what you're good at. And I went in the money healing closet and I've been feeling off ever since. Y'all, please don't let nobody tell y'all who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do, if it does not match in your heart and in your soul. I didn't have anybody to tell me that. And she was somebody I looked up to. So I trusted her more so than that inner voice. Because when the psychic told me, it felt aligned. I knew it was aligned.
Right.
So now this year, I am coming back and stepping fully in my power as a money archetype coach, helping women heal their relationship with money.
Beautiful. I love that you kind of brought it into alignment, because I do believe that sometimes people intentionally and unintentionally will get us out of ourselves because either they don't understand what we're doing. Maybe they're afraid to live their dreams and goals out loud. They might be afraid to take that next step. And so they pour that fear on you. And I'd be willing to bet that person who was like, no, you need to do this, there was probably something else pulling on them, and they were afraid to take that next step. And that's what folks do to us sometimes. So tell us, like, what exactly, what are the different types of money archetypes? That's what I want to ask.
Oh, sure. So there are 8 different money archetypes. And before, I want to just give a brief definition of what an archetype is, because when I first started this journey, I wasn't really sure. And so archetypes just in themselves are patterns of thoughts, behaviors that are universally present in all individual human psyches. So like every archetype that exists, every human personality that exists in everybody. So when we just think about the movie. So like there's the hero, the king, the queen, the rebellious teenager, like all the victim, all these personalities that are in the collective unconscious, they all live within us. And given the right set of circumstances, they made that personality or like that mask just appears, and you start exuding those behaviors and patterns. So like you could be in like the people who are, let's say, like in a bank robbery, now all of a sudden maybe that hero archetype arises in someone, and they're the person that's looking out for everybody, right? Or maybe this teenager who's had this beautiful life, now her parents get a divorce, she turns into the rebellious teenager because it's the right set of circumstances that happen in life, and then these personalities just arise and begin living through us. So if we are unaware that these unconscious personalities have like taken up shop, we can be acting out of the shadow side versus more of the empowered or potential of each archetype.
Got it.
Okay, so then money archetypes are just personalities, behaviors, patterns that come up specifically when dealing with money and financial matters.
Wow. So what are the different types? I'm glad that you paused and gave us that definition, because I'm thinking for myself, I know what archetypes are, so I'm not even thinking about everybody else. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hear all these different ones. So thank you for taking that moment to explain that. So now let's go ahead and talk about like, what are these different types? And I know we're not going to have time to dive into each one specifically, but if you could give us like maybe one or two characteristics of maybe the most common ones. I don't know. I'm going to let you take it away though.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can briefly give you just a little rundown of each one. So so first of all, you learn your archetypes through a quiz. So there's a quiz of like 64 questions. You answer them truthfully, honestly, and then at the end, it'll give you, it'll rank your archetypes. And so again, there's 8, and we go by your top 3. So your top 3 are your most dominant ones, and we have all 8 in us, but the top 3 are going to be the ones that are, again, are the most dominant personalities when it comes to money, business, financial matters, and career. Okay, so first one is the accumulator. This is called, each one has a nickname. The nickname of the accumulator is your inner banker. So this is the personality that is good with money, good with saving, but can also be frugal, hoard money, and have anxiety and fear around money. Then we have the alchemist. This is your inner idealist. And so the alchemist is like the ideas guy. So might be having 15, 16 different money making ideas in her head all at once. But then the fear is around actually taking those ideas and turning them into money. So when she's living in her empowerment as an accumulator, she's taking those ideas, she's like, oh, you know what, I'm going to make that course. So you know what, I'm going to start my jewelry business. And then she's, making money from her ideas. Next, we have the maverick. This is your inner rebel with a cause. This is the person that marches to the beat of their own drum, lives outside the box, but with money can be a risk taker and might get into some get rich quick schemes, like looking for the easy way to make money, and can experience financial highs and lows because balance is like boring to them. Okay. Then you have the celebrity. This is your inner big shot. Celebrity likes to be seen, likes to stand out, and will use their money and purchases to do so. But this also means that they may overspend or spend money they don't have to to shine. Then we have the ruler. This is your inner empire builder. I see her as like the CEO, and she wants to create an empire where everyone thrives, but she so wants to get this empire going that she will work herself to the bone. It's never good enough, never done, and then she can suffer from burnout. But when she's operating in the light, she makes a big income and big impact. Then we have the connectors. We're at 6. The connector, this is your inner relationship builder. And they are really good at making connections, and they can, their gift really is using their connections and networking to make money. But when they're living like in their shadow, they may hide, not lean on their connections, or they may not charge because they think like everybody's their friend.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Then we have the romantic. Their nickname is called the inner hedonist. And hedonism is all about pleasure seeking. So I really call this like your inner pleasurist, or like your self-care queen. This is the one, she's going to spend that extra money for the sweater that feels good on her skin, and she likes texture, or she'll drive an extra couple miles because that place got her favorite vanilla scented candle. So she's really into the pleasures of life, but sometimes she spends out of a sense of emptiness. So it's like using her money and her purchases to fill herself up, to feel like that inner void. And then we have the nurturer. This is your inner sponsor. They are like the caretaker, that friend that's got your back, the one you can call on, if you need to borrow some money, or, to just like hear about your hard day at work. Like they really enjoy being there for people, but they can end up being some people's bank and have like very loose financial boundaries with friends and family that may end up costing them, because they're giving money that, they should be using for something else, their own stuff.
Yeah.
So, that is a rundown of all 8 archetypes.
That's so interesting, because like in just you explaining that, I'm like, I know that person. I know that person. I am not getting ready to tell y'all which one I am just based on the definitions that she gave, but trust me, she called me out. I feel attacked a little bit. It's okay though. Essence, do you find, like, I know you primarily work with women, right? Do you find that, like, let's say women who work in corporate tend to be one way, or women who are maybe homemakers or housewives. I don't know what the correct term for them is at this point, but like, do you find that depending on what you do in life can reflect your archetype with money?
Not necessarily, no. It has a lot to do really with just your personality, like even from a kid. So let's think about like my best friend, for instance. She is a nurturer. My partner, he's a nurturer, and my best friend are nurturers. And so from a little girl, I know that she was the one trying to take care of her brothers. And she just met my family for the first time, and she was the one helping the bride with her dress. She went with me to my cousin's wedding. Like that's just who she is. It has nothing to do with whether she's in corporate, but she is. But it's like, it's more of a personality. And even think about the celebrity or the big shot. It's just like I have a best friend. I used to say, we from a small town, but I used to be like, girl, you think you from Paris or something. Like she always had to have the name brand, and we just like these small town people. And it's like, where do you get this personality from? But it was just her, and it's still her to this day. You know what I mean? So it has a lot to do with just the nature of who you are, and then certain things in your childhood maybe can exacerbate some of these shadow behaviors, or even the gifts. Because let's say, for instance, I'm an accumulator, and they have that, they're good with money, but also can be frugal. I grew up in a household where my mom said, I don't have any money. I don't have any money. So like that being a shadow side of the accumulator, that can come up a lot because it's already a part of my childhood money story. You know what I mean? So I was probably already going to be an accumulator, but I'm really lean more towards that frugal and fear around money because of the way that I was raised. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, because so many of us was raised with that, like, oh, I don't have money for that, or money don't grow on trees. Like we heard money in a very in a negative way. I want to say. And it's not anything that our parents were intentionally doing. You know, they would talk about the way that you save, but then you talked about money in a not so pretty light. So when in speaking about children growing up, what should parents learn about their archetype? And I know you said it's different, you know, for each person because of the personalities, but how can we foster a positive image and relationship with money for our children just in the household?
That's a really great question. I have this post percolating in my head, and I think this will help me speak it out a little bit. It's going to be about like, what is your money or your financial legacy? And it's not about how much money you're leaving or what they're going to inherit. It is about the emotional, mental imprint that you are leaving on your family and your kids around money. Are you imprinting them with fear? Is that the legacy that you're leaving? Are you lack? Is that so like really thinking about how you want your children to grow up, bringing that into the money conversations now. Your fears or doubts around money should just be kept between the adults, right? It should not be like hearing the kid, like the kid shouldn't be hearing that, is what I'm trying to say. And if there isn't enough, right, for whatever it is they're wanting, it's like explain it to them in a different way. Not saying there's not enough, because kids tend to think, well, then there's just not enough in the world. Not mom just may not have enough. Right. So that we grow up with a scarcity mindset because we're just thinking there's not enough. You know what I mean? And maybe a select few may have enough, but generally in the world, there's not enough. And that's just not true.
That's not it. So before we go into commercial break, I want to make sure that people are understanding, because you know, we're using the word shadows. Okay. Explain a little bit what shadows mean so that someone listening can be like, oh, that's what she's referring to. I identify with that, but just kind of give a brief explanation of what a shadow is so that people can understand it.
It's really just like the disempowered state. So you have an empowered state with money and then a disempowered state, or you have a healthy state with money or an unhealthy state with money. And so when I talk about the shadow behaviors, that's really what I'm talking about, is the unhealthy, toxic behaviors and patterns when it comes to money. So in healing, we talk a lot about the shadow side, which is parts of us that we repress, we hide, we ignore, we're embarrassed of. And so I'm still just bringing that over into the conversation about money.
Right. I just wanted to, because when the first time I heard shadow, I was like, what in the world are they talking about? But as it was broken down and explained, I was like, oh, okay. And then I had a whole list of shadows. I didn't even want to stand in the sun and see a shadow behind me. I was like, listen, we got to excavate all of this. I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I don't think most people realize their relationship with money. We sometimes feel either we have it or we don't. We're rich or we're poor or middle class. And then, of course, a lot of people feel like those with money have egos, or, you know, like you said, it's the money story that you hear growing up. So I think this is a really important conversation of understanding. And so before we start to dive in, how does your archetype support healing your relationship with money? And how do you use that archetype to grow and enhance your money? We're going to take a quick commercial break, because I want you guys to really understand and really hear what she's saying, and also have the opportunity to work with her if you know there are some money issues that you need to heal. So let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back to just really dive into how do you use these archetypes every day in your financial life. We'll be right back. right, we are back. We're talking to Essence Turner, money archetype coach, and she just got through telling us the 8 different types of money archetypes. So if you missed it, you definitely want to go back to the beginning and see which archetype you might be. Now we're going to move into how does the archetype play a part in healing as well as increasing your relationship with money. So Essence, just kind of starting with how does the archetype play a part in
Okay.
your relationship with money? Then we'll go into the healing part of it.
Okay. So definitely everybody has a relationship with money. So one of the things I like to do with my clients is we personify money. So if money was a person, then what would your relationship be? What type of things are you saying about her? How do you treat her? Right? So that right there in itself can be very eye-opening. And so when you have so then personifying or thinking about it, energy, you have a relationship with that energy. How do you think about it? How do you treat it? What do you say about it? Right. So that is the relationship. And I believe like we are all in soulmate relationships with money because you are for the rest of your life going to be in a relationship with money.
Yeah.
With money on everything. Right. So, what I love about the archetypes is that they give us a blueprint to show us what our unhealthy behaviors are. So, where a person may not be able to clearly articulate when you look at the archetypes, and because there's more information to each one, than I was able to share here. But when you're able to look at some of these unhealthy behaviors of the archetype and say, yep, that's me, yep, that's me, then you can start to see how these behaviors are hindering the relationship with money. So we'll just use me in the accumulator. So being frugal, there's nothing wrong with being conscious around your money and the way you spend it, right? Mm-hmm. But if I am being frugal out of fear, then what am I saying about money? Like, I don't trust you. I don't think you're going to be there for me. And then I am in a lack vibration, which then is repelling money. So these are things we may not even know or understand because it's just like, oh, that's just me. But then you complain about your relationship with money. Well, you're constantly saying that it's not there, it's never like, what would you want to do with somebody that's saying that about you?
Ooh, I think you might have just really attacked some people right there saying that. Like, but I love that analogy, and I think it really opens us up to ask ourselves, what does money mean to me if I was in a relationship with it? Like, I've never heard it put in that way. So I think that's a question that all of us need to ask ourselves. In asking that, mm-hmm. when they start to identify what their true relationship is, what are some ways that we have to look at changing it?
Yeah, so each archetype does have like strengths and gifts with the money, but just the simplest thing could be like if you're writing down some of the toxic, unhealthy behaviors with money, it's like, then what does the opposite side of that look like? Right? So if I'm having fear, which is meaning I'm not trusting money, then what does the opposite looks like? It's going to look like me trusting money. Okay, then what is that going to take? Right? So it's like really sitting down and thinking about it. And it may sound like a simple, easy exercise, but if there is trauma around money or just fears or shame, the answers may not come right away, right? Yeah. So like just be gentle with yourself because money is like a very tender spot for so many of us. And I think especially with women, because we weren't really raised to be empowered around money. And right. So even women who have plenty of it can still find themselves in the shadow behaviors. Let's think about, let's say, like the romantic, where they're like, okay, I got money, I can buy this bag if I want to, but then they're beating themselves up because they may not have saved the amount, or they're not paying down their credit cards, but they're not conscious of the fact that they are buying to fill some empty void, or they're just spending unconsciously because the money is there, but then they have other goals of like saving or a trip that they're not putting the money to, because it's just like, I see it, I want it, I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they're like, where's the money go? I never have the money that I want. It's like, but because you keep spending it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Holy crap. I am not gonna lie to y'all today. I feel like Essence is coming for me a little bit.
With
love. But really what she's doing is she's awakening some things in my spirit that is like, oh, Tasha, okay, how are you really feeling about money? What are some things that you're buying? Like, I mean, this is some really deep stuff, like, that I did not even really know existed until I started following you on social media. And I'm like, what is this money archetype? And then I was like, you know what? Have her on your show, because if I don't know, then I know some other people that don't know. And these are things that I feel like we need to know to really arm ourselves with the knowledge to be able to grow. So we talked about the healing side of it. How do we use this archetype to grow financially, to be able to maybe understand and have a better relationship with money? Like, how do we use it? Because we talk about the healing. So let's talk about the abundance side of it. How do we get there?
Well, a lot of it is stopping the toxic behavior and moving into the potential or the healing side of it. So let's just, again, the accumulator, when you move from this place of distrusting and fear around money and you move into ease and allowing, it's like now you're opening the channel to receive. Or the alchemist, if there's doubt around, will somebody pay for this idea that I want to monetize? When you can move past that and now you put that idea out into the marketplace, you are setting yourself up, you know what I mean, to have money coming in. Or even the connector, let's say connectors in business or even in career. So I was talking to someone who was she's like a psychologist, and one of the things of the accumulator, again, when you really, not accumulate, the connector, like when you really have these heartfelt relationships with people you may not want to charge. Well, she sometimes wouldn't bill appropriately for the amount of hours because the connection that she has with the clients, but wasn't looking at that as shadow, right? So just think of some people, that may not be, asking for the accurate amount of coins, you know what I mean? And this can even just be in your career, not even asking for the raise because you love your boss and you guys are so close and, you're behind the mission. F that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be behind
put on sunglasses and hide right now, because I feel like, you know what, it might be other people watching this show, but she's talking to me. Like, I feel selfish right now, but I want to put on sunglasses and go run and hide, like, because really, like, I have really good friends who are like, Tasha, you have to charge this, or you get to charge more. And they're the ones that encourage me, like, no, you're so good at what you do and you need to be able to charge that. I just had this conversation like a week ago, but I am that person that's like, oh, but we're friends and maybe I should just have this conversation. And then I had to realize I can't keep having free conversations just because we're friends too. Yeah. So that's why I feel like the things that you're saying, I just want to really put on some sunglasses and not let y'all see my eyes right now. Feel a little bit attacked.
But so can you see how, let's say somebody who isn't charging appropriately or don't want to ask for the raise, I can say this and it sounds really easy, but then there's generally going to be some kind of mental or emotional block. It's like, but if I ask my boss for more, what if this? Or, like, I don't know if I'm worth more, right? So these are the things that as a trauma healer, like, we work through to release those blocks so that you can fully step into the empowerment and the gifts with your archetypes. Or whether you're doing this at home on your own, that exercise is just like, be willing to see what comes up in your body that is like saying, no, I can't do that. I can't move to the more empowered side because of this. Or what if that, like, these are the things you want to work with and dismantle so that you can step into the gifts of the archetype.
So in talking about that, because what I'm hearing right now are all of these people who have beautiful gifts, whether they cook, whether they do art, whether they sing, like they have these things that they love and they love to give it to the world. And because they love it so much, the first thing they say is, it's not about money. It's just about me doing this or me doing that. Talk to them for a moment. What do you want to tell them when they're saying, like, well, I mean, yeah, I can cook, but I just love catering. I just love everybody to eat my food. But it is a gift that you can get paid for. So just talk to them for a moment.
Yes. Okay. That is such a typical alchemist behavior pattern. And what I like to say to that is super simple. The alchemist cares more about the movement. So whatever it is, could be the art, cares more about the movement than money. But you get to care about both equally. You can care about the work, the movement, and money equally. One doesn't have to outweigh the other. Like, they both get to take up the same amount of space in your life, and it doesn't take away from the art. It doesn't take away from the cooking because now you are charging for it. It's really honoring the value that your art or whatever it is brings to the world, brings to a person's life. And there's nothing wrong with honoring yourself with some money.
I think that was the mic drop moment. Like, is nothing wrong with honoring yourself with some money. And I love that you brought the value of it can be equal. One doesn't have to outweigh the next. It can really be equal. So, message to all of you guys, including myself, charge what you are worth. Charge the value that you bring to the table. Yes. And it's interesting because what I have found over the years, and I continue to see it, is people actually they don't trust as much when you don't charge as much. I see that a lot. It's like, well, if this person is only charging, $300 for this and somebody else is charging, $1,000, what does the person charging $300 really know? So if you're not charging what the value that you bring to the table, you're actually doing yourself and others a huge disservice.
But I also, yes, because you should charge what you desire. But I do want to say that can also be very, it can vary by archetypes. Because let's say an accumulator, I would be like, oh, so she charging $300, she charging $900. Whereas my boyfriend, who is like the nurturer, romantic, he like, if it's $300, $600 cheaper, like something ain't right with that. No, I'm gonna go with the $900. Like, that's
what people think.
Right. And this is another reason why it's good to know your partner's archetype as well, because once I understood his archetype, it stopped me from judging the way that he spends his money, because he is going to buy the more expensive thing, where I am going to be just a little bit more like looking at the bargain. Not to say that I won't buy the more expensive thing, but I need to know the differences. You know what I mean? Whereas he just like, oh yeah, that one's $20 more. It must be better, so I'm gonna get
that. No, nothing cheap for him. He is going all full out. Essence, talk about some of maybe the programs that you have, or what are some ways that, do you only work with women or do you work with men too? Like, what are the ways that people can work with you to learn their archetype, to be able to heal their relationship as well as enhance? Like, tell us how to get with Essence.
Yeah, so I have worked with a handful of men. I tend to just lean my marketing more towards women because I am one and I kind of understand us on an emotional level. And that's generally the level that I work with people on, is that emotional, spiritual level. And but yeah, if any men feel drawn, please reach out. I have a 12-week program that is called Soulful Sacred Abundance. And this is where we're healing any money wounds. We're doing the work to move from the shadow behaviors of the archetype into the empowered mindset and energy behind your archetype, so that you can call in more money, whether that is in your career or whether that is, for business owners. Mm-hmm. The first step might be, so that's the 12-week program, but somebody might just want to start with understanding their money archetypes. So on my website, you can take the quiz for free, and even I have like a mini course that's $7, but you can access module 1 and the money archetype for free, just get a basic understanding. But if you want to go do a little bit more of a deep dive, then you will purchase the entire mini course, which is 4 modules.
Okay, that's cool. And you say that again?
One more thing, yes. and I'm going to be starting the Goddess Money Healing Sisterhood podcast in about 2 weeks. It will definitely be up by December, and I'm really excited. I'm just kind of sitting with it and letting it move through my body, but I don't want to take too long, so it will be up.
Yeah, speaking of December, so however you guys celebrate, I'm just going to say holidays. Can you quickly go through each archetype and tell them what to look out for during this month of spending?
Yes. The accumulators, let yourself spend on the people you love. Essence. Okay. The alchemist, more so any ideas that you have, let yourself lean into it. So if it's ideas on what to buy, people ideas maybe on making something or even cooking something, like the more you can honor your ideas versus like pushing them to the side, the stronger that archetype will be for you and talk to you. Maverick, this is that inner rebel and can overspend. Just be very mindful. Think about where you want to go. I'm going to say this with the Maverick and like the celebrity too, is really think about where you want to go with your money in 2023. And are these like maybe outlandish purchases and are they going to align with where you want to be? Or in 2023, are you going to be like, dang it, I shouldn't have did that? So really think about your relationship with money and where you're taking it, and then align your spending with that. The ruler, give yourself a break, take some time during the holidays, don't overdo it. The connectors, really enjoy your relationship with your friends, your family, and maybe even allow the gifts you may buy them to really speak to the type of relationship that you have with them. The romantic, this is, the inner pleasure seeker. I want you to, again, be mindful of your spending. You love to have nice things, so let yourself have them, but still just be mindful. And the nurturer, I know you love to take care of other people, but buy yourself something nice.
I love it. That was just a whole rundown of how all of y'all should be shopping during the month of December, and still remembering 2023 comes right after December. So there you have it. Essence, tell everybody how they can connect with you, your social media handles, your website. Yeah, tell us how we can connect with you.
EssenceTurner.com is the website, and the money quiz is right on the homepage, as well as learning more about Soulful Sacred Abundance, as well as my handles for social media, which my IG is EssenceTurner_.
Okay. And Facebook is just Essence Turner?
Yes, Facebook is just Essence Turner. I do have two, but I'm going to say it's going to be the sexy one leaning up against the tree in the tight dress.
I think that's the one that we have. Yes, that is a very, very cute picture, my dear. It has been so great talking with you. This has been a very eye-opening conversation for me, for sure. It was a very educational episode because we are all learning something new today, which is incredible. And I'm sure everybody's probably going to go to your site so that they can find out which archetype they are before they get to shopping for the holidays. Before we go, Essence, can you tell me who is or has been a Shenomenal woman in your life and why?
I'm going to say my best friend, Pamela Sykes, because she has been my ride or die since 2005, like back when I was my hot mess drinking. She loved me through all of it and has just really seen my growth and has really been a big supporter of my transformation. And when I have my doubts, she's always there to lift me up and to help me see where I'm going and to help keep me on the path over the years. And she's amazing and I love her. And I used to be a dancer, a stripper, and we met in the club. And so here we are like 15 years later, like she's still just my ride or die, and we're in a whole new paradigm of life. And she's got my back and I just love her to death.
Beautiful. I love it. Essence, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for your honesty, your bravery, and for truly being a Shenomenal woman, helping other women learn how to heal and grow their relationship with money. It's been a beautiful time with you. For everyone else, thank you so much for joining. Next week is Thanksgiving, so you will not see me. Y'all know I will be somewhere eating. But however you spend your holiday next week, please, by all means, be safe, be loving, enjoy your family, your friends, whoever you're going to be around. Have a beautiful and safe Thanksgiving week. And I will see you guys in December. I cannot believe we're already in December. Have a great week.